Hey, I know you've been doubting God lately. You don't talk about it out loud. You still pray sometimes. You still believe. Kind of. But deep down there's this quiet question you keep pushing away. God, are you really there? And if you felt that, I want you to hear this clearly right now. Doubting God does not make you a bad Christian. It makes you a human who is hurting, confused, or tired. Because doubt doesn't show up when life is easy. Doubt shows up when prayers feel unanswered, when doors keep closing, when the thing you begged God for still hasn't happened, when life looks nothing like what you thought faith would bring. You thought trusting God would bring clarity, but instead you got silence. You thought obedience would bring peace, but instead you got waiting. You thought prayer would bring answers, but instead you got more questions. And now you feel guilty for wondering if God is even listening. But here's the truth nobody talks about. Doubt is not the opposite of faith. Silence is. Because the fact that this question is bothering you, the fact that you still care enough to wonder, means your faith is still alive. Doubt isn't the death of faith. It's the place where faith learns to breathe without easy answers. Think about it. Real trust isn't built when everything makes sense. Real trust is built when nothing does. And maybe your doubt didn't start because you stopped believing in God. Maybe it started because life didn't turn out the way you believed God would allow. You believed God would fix things faster. You believed He would open the right doors by now. You believed He would take away that pain already. You believed He would give you a clear sign. But instead, you got waiting. You got silence. You got confusion. And silence can feel like abandonment if you don't understand what God does in quiet seasons. Because here's what we forget. God does some of His deepest work in seasons that feel empty. Seeds grow underground before they ever break the surface. Babies grow in the dark before they ever see the light. Muscles grow when they're being stretched and torn. Growth often looks like nothing is happening, until suddenly everything changes. What if this quiet season isn't proof that God left you, but proof that God is working in ways you can't see yet? I know you want certainty. I know you want clarity. I know you want answers. But faith has never been about having all the answers. Faith has always been about choosing trust even when the answers haven't arrived yet. And I know that's hard. I know that feels unfair. I know it feels exhausting. Because you didn't expect following God to feel this confusing. But listen carefully. God is not afraid of your questions. He's not offended by your doubts. He's not disappointed that you're struggling. God would rather have your honest doubt than your fake confidence. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to perform. You don't have to say perfect prayers. You can come to God and say, I don't understand. I'm confused. I'm tired. I need you to help me believe again. And that kind of prayer, that's real faith. Because faith isn't pretending everything is okay. Faith is choosing to keep turning toward God even when everything feels uncertain. You don't need perfect belief. You don't need unshakable confidence. You don't need zero questions. You just need a tiny willingness to keep your heart open. And maybe today your faith feels small. Maybe it feels fragile. Maybe it feels like it's barely hanging on. But small faith still grows. Fragile faith still counts. Barely hanging on still means you haven't let go. So if you've been doubting God lately, this isn't the end of your faith story. It might actually be the chapter where your faith becomes real. Not based on feelings, not based on circumstances, not based on instant answers, but based on choosing trust one day at a time. You don't have to figure everything out today. You don't need all the answers tonight. Just take one small step back toward God, one honest prayer, one moment of trust, and let Him meet you there.